discerning eye on this economy. There are a lot of folks who would say that the engine that drives the Silicon Valley economy is CEOs and investors and venture capitalists. And that's not what we would say. What we would say is that it is workers. It is everyday workers, it is immigrants, and it is their families who drive this economy, and we need to tell that story. And that's what we're doing. And I think one of the most important things Working Partnerships does, frankly, is events like this. And why? We're not just thinkers, we're actors. So why do we create space to reflect and to think? Well, I think too often, activists, like myself, don't sit and think about what have we learned? What can we learn from what our ancestors have done, from what the fights and civil rights movements of the past have learned? And we need to engage with the folks that are still with us, to not just hear what they take away now from what they did and what they learned, but what we can then do and act on in the future. So I challenge everyone here tonight to not just hear Chairman Seale, to hear and turn it into action. Because if we don't walk out of this room with a sense that we learned something that will change our path, the way we act in the world, we haven't learned enough. And so this speaker series is really important to us. And the first speaker to come to speak in it for us was a gentleman named John Lewis. In 1960, he was a 20-year-old man from Alabama who was one of the 13 original freedom fighters, a group of blacks and whites who planned to, in the civil rights movement, sit together on a bus trip from Washington, D.C. to New Orleans. The plan, of course, was to have that bus travel through 7 states in the South, and in every one of those states, it was illegal for a black person to sit next to a white person on a bus. Lewis and the rest of the original freedom fighters never made it to New Orleans because they were pulled off their buses, they were beaten by mobs, and sometimes they were arrested and sent to jail. And yesterday, Lewis, now a United States congressman from Georgia, stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, and he spoke at the 50th anniversary commemoration of the March on Washington. And so we reflect on that, and we reflect on how much has changed, and yet it is our job to also reflect on how very little has changed. Black people and white people can sit beside each other on buses, planes, and trains in all 50 states. But people of color, especially African Americans, far outnumber whites in prison cells and unemployment lines. Pioneers like Bobby Seale can now speak to a group of us in a community, and we can be thrilled and excited to learn from him. But a black teenager carrying a box of Skittles can't walk home at night from a convenience store in Florida without someone taking action, legal action against him and doing violence upon him. And so we need to remember that listening tonight is not enough. We've got a lot of work to do. Bobby Seale is famous for founding the Black Panther Party at a time when many African Americans were not allowed to vote. And Working Partnerships and Mosaic are proud to sponsor him to provide an opportunity to speak, because many states are now aggressively moving to prevent African Americans and Latinos and all people of color from voting again. So thank you all for coming tonight. And let us challenge ourselves again to take action after tonight. And it is with great humility, I'm looking down here, that I get to present and introduce Reverend Barrett Houston, who will move our program forward tonight. He is the founder of the House of Sankofa, an organization that promotes the rescue, reconstruction, and restoration of African history and African culture. And he will introduce tonight's guests and describe our program. But thank you all for coming.
One more time, power. that we're bringing here, both brothers, are testimony to the commitment for our common humanity. It's a beautiful thing when we can come together and look at our common humanity. So I say to you again, in the greatest way I know how, power to the people. Power to the people. Brothers and sisters, I've been asked to introduce our speakers tonight. The first brother that I'm going to introduce to you, I affectionately have known this brother for a number of years. And we have crossed each other's paths, coming and going, but this brother is a staple in our community. Now what I'm gonna do is, I could tell you how I know this brother and how I'm connected to this brother, but I'm gonna read his bio so I don't miss nothing, and then he won't call me on the carpet for it. So again, this brother, our first speaker tonight, is Brother Akabundu Amazu Lot. Now, as a youth, this brother lived in Los Angeles, California. Akabundu Amazu Lot experienced firsthand being profiled by the police. On at least a half-dozen occasions, he was pulled over and at gunpoint by the LAPD. Now, this experience contributed to his understanding that African people in America was treated as second-class citizens. He made his way out of Los Angeles to San José State University. There he participated in sports, football, and he received his BS degree in business administration, and he received his Master of Urban Planning. And as an undergraduate student athlete, he experienced racism on the field and in the classroom. His resolve to change the situation of African people in particular and humanity in general led him to join several progressive organizations, including the Black Student Union and the Pan-African Student Collective. He was introduced to and joined the All-Africans People Revolutionary Party, what we know as the AAPRP. And in 1979, he was introduced to and joined the All-African People Revolutionary Party and is currently the California Chapter Program Coordinator and a member of the Chapter Coordinating Council. It is through his extensive study of Pan-Africanism and the struggle of oppressed people globally that he remains motivated to the work for positive change. He has been an adjunct professor at San José State University for the past 6 years in the African American Studies Department and the chair of the Africana Center Advisory Committee of the Cultural Heritage Library at the King Library. But I want to add this spiel. This brother is known as an affectionate and caring father. He's also an affectionate and caring husband. He's also a brother. And what I like to tease him about all the time is that he is also a grandfather. So this brother's been around a long time, and we like his commitment to moving humanity forward. Now, the next speaker that I'd like to introduce is our main speaker for the night, but I'd like to segue into that. I'd like to say that it is up to each historical generation to either fulfill or betray its historical defined task. That's true for all of us. And so when we must be clear, brothers and sisters, we have to be clear about the goals and objectives of our historical defined task. And at the end of all of our journeys, all of our physical journey, the one question, the only question that is relevant is, what have we done to move humanity forward? That's the only question that will be asked of us. Out of all the different paths that we come, out of all the different things that we do, the one question that will be asked out of all of us is, what have we done? Revolution, properly defined, is a process. It is our job to understand properly defined, a process for positive change. It is our job to find our role in that process. You understand? So this brother tonight, he established a human model for us so that we don't have to go blindfold through our contribution in this process. And so, Brother Chairman Seale was born in Texas. Yes. And his family moved to the Bay Area, and he attended Berkeley High School. And this is where he met Brother Huey P. Newton. And the both of them was admirers of whom we know in history as Malcolm X. And so they both co-founded the Black Panther Party for self-defense in 1966. Brother Bobby Seale would later become the party chairman. And also, as his life evolved, he would find himself in the middle of the struggle in the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago. This is where he was a member. Many of you may know this, but some of you may not know this. He was part of the Chicago 8. You know that. But the other thing that a lot of us don't understand is that he challenged the humanity of Judge Julius Hoffman in the courtroom. This brother was bound and gagged before the eyes of America. And this is why we pay reverence and respect to this brother tonight, to challenge the humanity of that inhumane system. And so, as his life continued to evolve, in 1970 in New Haven, Connecticut, the Black Panther trials, as some of us may know, which a fellow Black Panther accused him of ordering a murder. Now, some of you did not have the privilege of talking with this brother before we get in this scene. But this brother gave us an in-depth history of the COINTELPRO program. And he told us what the objective was. So when you hear information like this, you know what is the root of that. But this brother, even though he was accused of ordering a murder, the jury could not reach a verdict. And Chairman Seale was freed. And later on, in 1973, Brother Seale would run for the mayor of Oakland. Brothers and sisters, that was a 9-candidate race. And out of those 9 candidates, this brother, Chairman Seale, ended up in the 2nd position. This is a huge accomplishment for what we are saying, power to the people. And later on, I have to admit something here. When I went over the notes, I seen he wrote a barbecue cookbook and advertised for Ben and Jerry ice cream, donating the profits to non-profit social organizations. Now, I have to tell you that I had scratched that off. But listening to the brother he talked about this 3-dimensional side of human reality. The thesis, the antithesis, and the synthesis. This is the way we always have to move, brothers and sisters. And so I decided that, well, I'll go ahead and tell the brother, because he said, look, even revolutionaries have to eat. So whether we embrace this brother from our love for him co-founding the Black Panther Party with Huey Newton, or we embrace him for his courage in the Chicago 8, one of the things that we have to understand, this brother is also the author of the seminal book, Seize the Time. Now I want y'all to listen closely to me. Seize the Time. If you read that book, the one thing that you would come out, well, two points you would come out with. The first point is that there's no such thing as a non-era. The times we are living in right now, I'm going to the other point, is that America today is just as ripe for revolutionary positive change as she has been in the history of the development of this country. So brothers and sisters, it is with much love. It is with much respect. Now this brother's also, to tell you about the gravity of who you're hearing tonight, his contributions have been recognized from the screen to the song. And what I mean about that, from the lyrics of Gil Scott-Heron to John Lennon, and also on the screen. And he is independently now working on some screenplay. I'll let him tell you about that. But I want to say with much love, much respect, and much reverence, power to the people. Come on, brothers and sisters, power to the people. Power to the people. You ought to get up and stand up and say it. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Brothers and sisters, I introduce you to our speakers tonight, Brother Amazulu Lot and Brother Bobby Seale. Thank you for listening, brothers and sisters.
Check 1, 2. How's everybody? I guess Reverend Houston got us going pretty good, and we know Chairman Seale is going to keep us going here. I want to, again, on behalf of San Jose State Mosaic and the other organizations, thank you for coming down today. And what we're going to do is just have a little dialogue and allow Chairman Seale to elaborate some on the history and the social environment that we are experiencing right now, and how it's transformed from the time when you first started the Black Panther Party, and then after about a half hour or so, open it up to question and answer. And the way we're going to conduct that, we'll talk about that when we break from this particular part of the program. So maybe to kick it off, because you know, it's like sitting up here with an open encyclopedia of the struggle. But what I'd like to do is maybe have you look at the Black Panther Party's 10-point plan. And it appears, when I look at it, that it covers all the main issues that we're facing today. From I'll share this one with you, but I just want you to, within the context of it, and looking at how part of the plan, 10-point plan, covered the police brutality and murder. It covered the poor education. It covered housing and foreclosure and so many other aspects. So if you could elaborate some on that and a little bit about how you and Brother Huey developed this 10-point plan.
You have to understand the founding of the party, the 10-point platform and program, as we call it. What we want, what we believe, is the founding documentation of the Black Panther Party. That 10-point platform and program was written. First, there was notes taken at my house at 809 57th Street, Oakland, California, across the street from Barrett College at one point there. But the involvement of the Black Panther Party was really preceded by 4 other organizational frameworks that I had put together from 1964, 65, and 66. Finally, in October 1966, we founded the Black Panther Party. But that don't help you enough. That's just blah, blah, blah. You got to know what went down. I mean, wow, how do we tell this and explain this? It's so much history, it's so much involved. And then I'm sitting down, and I'm used to standing up. Stand up, stand up. And another thing, wait a minute, another thing. When I speak, I like to speak to the people. Yep. And I want somebody to turn these lights up so I can see the faces of the brothers and the sisters and the people in the audience that I'm rapping with. You know, I like to communicate. Now, I know it's whatever, boom, they was doing this because they had a play up here, but I need the lights turned back up. I need all the faces, people looking at me, I'm looking at you, we communicate, you know? It's a three-dimensional world, you know what I mean? It's interconnected, interrelated, and intertwined we are. Black, white, blue, red, green, yellow, polka dot, this whole Homo sapien humanity who has evolved on the face of this earth. All of us, male, female, black, blue, whoever, etc., this Homo sapien humanity, we possess the highest form of organized matter energy function. Listen to me. The highest form of organized matter energy function. The human thinking brain. This is what we possess. You know what I mean? We can measure, we can see, we can look, we can investigate. My God, we get down to the nitty gritty and try to miss no nits or grits, etc. Process. This is a great natural, evolving, evolutionary miracle of our very existence. The relevancy of all matter energy functioning, changing, and evolving in the totality of the whole universe that we know of. We are interconnected. We are there. We are, listen to yourselves and understand, we are interpreting it. We are interpreting this very existence of this matter energy function, and we are part and parcel of it. We're not separated from it. Maybe this gives you a feeling to understand where I come from when I organized the Black Panther Party. I was in the high-tech world. I was working in the engineering department at Kaiser Aerospace and Electronics, just outside of Oakland there. They had a NASA contract. I was in the engineering department doing electromagnetic field blacklight non-destruct testing for all engine frames for the Gemini missile program. I mean, I worked in aircraft, United States Air Force, structural repair, high-performance air, had a top 7 skill level in the United States Air Force, and after 3 years, 10 months, and 11 days, and because of some dumb racism, and I didn't take that crap from me, they kicked me out of the United States Air Force, but I was still in that high-tech world I loved this shit. I loved the science of it. And I knew where I was at, but I had no politics then, but more importantly, that's where I came from. You know, and I was there at Merritt College in 1962, 63. You know, I didn't know nothing about it. I walked across the street, some guys having a street corner meeting. The Afro-American Association, some street speaker walking up and down, and 50, 60 brothers and sisters and people listening to the Afro-American Association come here today to tell it like it is. I walked over and I seen a guy I hadn't seen since I was 16 years old, 17 years old, William Brumfield. I said, William, what you doing? You part of this group? He said, yeah, Bobby. I said, William, what's this Afro-American Association? Some kind of socialist stuff? Socialist? Why you say that? But I said, because they used to call you a socialist. I said, the FBI was going to get you, man. You, your brother, and I used to run with your brother. FBI. See, what you have to understand, this is 1962. I was raised up with all this dumb stuff in society. There used to be a television program called I Was a Communist for the FBI, starring Richard Carlson. J. Edgar Hoover propagated and got this program on television back in the day. And I'm a little kid watching, a teenager watching this stuff, boom, boom, boom. And one day they say, Richard's a socialist. He is. Ooh, the FBI gonna get him. You know what I mean? You don't know no better, blah, blah, blah. So here I am, 26 years of age, asking Richard, what's he doing? And I say, is this some kind of socialist crap? Well, he turned to me, he said, Bobby, why you want to say that? I said, well, you know. He said, Bobby, who are the Sioux? I said, their name is not the Sioux, their name is the Lakota. You know that. Me and your brother and I told you that a long time ago when he was 16 years old. Because Steve, his brother, and I identified with Native Americans, and particularly the Lakota. The real true name of the so-called Sioux, the word Sioux is a French word. It means cutthroat. It's all connected with the Louisiana Purchase from the French, okay? Understand that history. Who was it back there, and what Europeans was there trying to define the Lakota people? They call them cutthroats. And that's what, so what was happening here in 1962 is that, boom, I'm listening to these guys on the street corner. And in the speaking engagement, they're talking about some guy named Jomo Kenyatta facing Mount Kenya. I don't know what the heck that is at the time, you know. I mean, I'm a big-time engineer, you know. My major at Merritt College was engineering design, what have you. And I'm trying to listen, and they start talking about a shipping line. Some guy named Garvey had created a shipping line. I say, no black folk never created no shipping line. And I mean, they talk about some guy named Richard Wright and some other, I said, who is this? And W.E.B. Du Bois, who in the world? I didn't know what was going on. But I listened to these guys at this street corner rally there for 20, 30 minutes. And then I said, Richard, tell me something. What's a good book I can get on Africa? I don't know nothing about Africa. He says, Jomo Kenyatta's facing Mount Kenya. I took the book to work with me. Didn't have no engine frames to inspect. I sit down at my desk and started reading this book. I discovered a black man from Kenya of the Kikuyu people who went to England, got degrees, came to America, got degrees, was an anthropologist plus, went back and became significant in organizing his people out from under the yoke of English colonialism over his country. Whoa, Tarzan doesn't run Africa. Wow. I mean, you're raised up with Tarzan. Oh, look, this goddamn Tarzan, this son of a gun can talk to the goddamn animals. In the movies you can see him, and he'll tell a herd of elephants, oh, go over there and attack this adversary. The elephants go over there and pounce on them, brother. And the pity of this here depiction is that the blacks are docile and they don't know what's going on. And well, yeah, Tarzan, what about all that bullshit? You know, this paternal bullshit. But here I am. I get A's in mathematics. I don't know what it is to get less than an A. Architecture design, any kind of architectural mechanical design, A's. I have never got nothing less than an A in that kind of stuff. I like that shit. Now, on the other end of stuff, I get C's in English. I could never rise above that. But I did rise in one sense. My point though, I'm beginning to get ready to get conscious and I don't know it, but I see it happening. And I read this book. Next thing I know, I'm reading the digest of W.B. Du Bois's work, Black Reconstruction. I discovered that there was 168,000 black men enlisted into the Northern Union Army immediately following the Emancipation Proclamation, which was only an executive order, and 38,000 died. And then after that, in Reconstruction, there was some 10 black congressmen. I said, wait a minute, I didn't know this happened, boom, boom, boom. I gotta go back. And then I would go back and check out Garvey. He did attempt to organize a shipping line. Whoa, my God, my mind is getting blown. And the next thing I know, I'm studying African and African-American history, the whole crew. I'm understanding the whole colonialization process. And being in the high-tech world, boom, 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 I said, wow, that's why Kwame Nkrumah built a smelting plant for bauxite. Wow, I see the economics of what he's talking about. Bauxite was plentiful all over the Western African area. And that's why Kwame Nkrumah brought in the West, whatever, et cetera, to build this smelting plant. And it was about getting a route in to the, what is bauxite? Bauxite is an ore for all aluminum products produced in the world. And I imagine aluminum products from airplanes to pots, pans, and whoever else you said that, boom, that's what was happening. And that made me focus in on the mineral resources in the bowels of the earth of Africa. The cobalt, the copper. Even when it came down a little later there, of the Katanga province there in the southern Leopoldville, Congo, it was producing 1/3 of the world's copper ore, and that's why the whole crap went down, because it's about some crazy, avaricious Europeans trying to extract that ore, etc. That's what was going on, and that's what I understood about Africa then. Beyond Tarzan running it, goddamn, here was some guys who was trying to evolve new states and new frameworks like Kwame Nkrumah and many others. Wow, this upset me, but yet it illuminated me. It began to give me this world view. This is all in 1962.
Chairman,
So
if I may.
What? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That is very enlightening. And when I look at the Black Panther Party, it captured the hearts and minds of the community, of the people, of the youth. I'm hearing how your mind and your heart got captured. Could you make a connection for us? Because we have a lot of youth in here, and there's this bleeding social activism of how, after your mind and heart was on fire, how that led to the Black Panther Party, and a little bit of what that essence in that.
There's a whole lot of things led to the Black Panther Party. I created one of the first.
Definitely.
I created one of the first youth jobs program in North Richmond, California in 1964. One of the first. Wait a minute, brothers and sisters. The city government a few years ago gave me a proclamation for creating the first youth jobs program out there in North Richmond. I remember that program. Me and 6 other students, 3 white students and 3 black students. We worked very well together because we were out there working for another University of California contract and doing canvassing in the community. But as young people, we got involved with the need to end institutionalized racism, and we decided that we could get some of this war on poverty money here and get some matching funds and stuff, and we could put an educational program plus a jobs programs for the youth in the community. And that's what happened. The next thing I was working with the Department of Human Resources, City Government of Oakland, California. I ran the youth jobs program, but I was also the community liaison for the North Oakland Neighborhood Service Center, and this is the community that I lived in, 4 or 5 blocks from Barrett College. I'm saying these things happen in terms of organizational things. Later, I created the Black History Fact Group, and with the Black History Fact Group, we organized and got the people together, and we got Black American history in the curriculum at Barrett College. Then I turned the Black History Fact Group into Soul Students Advisory Council. I named it. Virgil Morrell, my close friend who organized with me, he was the one who got it registered on campus. Now, what's your name just wrote a book. He's trying to say Huey Newton founded it. Huey Newton did not found the Soul Students Advisory Council, but we're going to correct that in my movie and my film, okay, etc., in terms of really what went down and what happened. But it was important. It was important to understand this evolvement. Then I organized me and Virgil Morrell, not Huey, not the other group called some other guys in Black Against Empire saying that they created the rally. They didn't put the rally. I put that rally together. It's an anti-war rally. We were not going to be drafted into the war in Vietnam anymore. We had digested all the material, particularly Dr. Herbert Abthacker's works that documents all of the wars Black Americans had fought in this country. He documents those wars. But more importantly about that, we'd gotten to a point as youth then, looking at the newspapers, right around that time, we had this organization going, 29% of all those who was dying on the front lines in Vietnam was African Americans, plus Chicano Americans, plus other people in America. But we were saying that this country is not recognizing our Constitution, democratic, civil, and human rights in this country. Why should we let ourselves be drafted? So we organized this rally in opposition to being drafted and in opposition to the war in Vietnam. This is what happened. I was the master of ceremonies of the whole damn program. We brought in our African culture and all this other kind of stuff, different programs, various speakers from all kind of frameworks, etc., to protest and also talk about this ending the war in Vietnam. This is 1966, spring semester, and this is what was going on. And at the tail end of that program, I recited a poem called Uncle Sammy Called Me Full of Lucifer. The title of the poem is the first lines of the poem, and that was written by Ronald Stone. Back in those days, I must have been subscribing to some 25, 26 different periodicals. One of those periodicals was the Liberator magazine published out of New York, and in the Liberator magazine, I found this poem, and that poem went like this. Uncle Sammy called me full of Lucifer. I don't give a damn good eagle eye, my pleagle, triple whammy damn. When I finished reciting that poem, the house went down. 750 people sit in that auditorium, something like this here, right here. Sit in that auditorium and brought the house down, and that was the end of the program. Huey got there late. He opened the side door. And saw me write this poem, and the people, and it blew Huey's mind. It blew Huey's mind. And we came out and went out, he says, you organize all something? I said, yeah, I organize the people. But I said, Huey, you said that you didn't think we could organize anything. I said, so you was going to law school? I said, but I don't care. I'm going to organize. I'm going to do something. I'm going to change something, you know, boom, boom, boom. That's what was happening. And so Huey says, I don't believe this. Anyway, what happens, a week later, we're up around University of California. Huey wants me to recite this poem. Uncle Sammy called me full of Lucifer. I said, I'm not reciting no poem out here at night like this. All these people walking up and down, hordes of people walking up and down. You know, you're up around University of California and Telegraph Avenue. You know how that was. Boom, boom, boom. Man, white, black, blue, red, green, yellow, polka dot people just everywhere. At
How's it go again?
In that bit, wait a minute, let me finish this. You have to understand this if you're going to understand how the party got started. You have to understand this. How the party, things proceeded and caused things to happen. So finally Huey convinced me. I said, okay, whatever the hell, boom, boom, boom. I stood out by the parking meter. Does that microphone work up there? Yeah, I stood out by the parking meter. You know, few little tables outside, and people there, but hordes of people walking by. And so I said the first lines of the poem. I said, Uncle Sammy called me full of Lucifer. Well, I don't give a good eagle-eyed, McPleagle, triple whammy. And suddenly a big, tall, bushy-headed white guy with a big marijuana cigarette in his hand is walking, hey, hold it. And people are stopping, you know, hold it, hold it, hold it. Sucking off that damn marijuana cigarette, put a chair down by there. He says, hey, man, I'm sitting there, man, and the people got in front of me, man, and there's no vibes, man. I said, okay, man, get the smoke out of my goddamn face and give me the chair. I'll stand on the goddamn chair. I stand on the damn chair. And as I stand in the chair, 30, 40, 50 people had stopped. I could see the police car slowly cutting into the intersection to the left. But I said the poem, Uncle Sammy called me full of Lucifer. Well, I don't give a good eagle-eyed, McPleagle, triple whammy damn, for I feel it's positive but not certain. Uncle Sammy, don't chuck and jive me. I'm hip to popcorn jazz changes you blow. You know damn well what I mean. You school my naive heart to sing red, white, and blue, stars and stripes songs, and to pledge eternal allegiance to all things blue, true, blue-eyed, blonde hair, white chalk, white skin with USA tattooed all over. When my soul trusted Uncle Sammy and loved Uncle Sammy, I died in dreams playing war for you, Uncle Sammy. No, I don't want to hear that crap. You jam your emasculate manhood symbol puffed with gonorrhea of corrupt unreality myths into my ungreased nigger ghetto black ass of my Jewish, Catholic, Hindu, Islamic Sioux. What? Sure, free public health penicillin cured me. But Uncle Sammy, if you want to stay a freak show strong man God, fuck your motherfucking self. I'll not serve. Now, That poem was the same poem that I had recited at the end of that rally a week earlier. And the crowd said, more, 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 more. And then I got off the chair and Huey says, I told you. Huey's trying to tell Weezer, Bobby's a great communicator and we're going to organize now, and all this kind of crap. So some guy in a yellow t-shirt, it's a crowd of people, more, come on, say some more, man. He walks over to me and he grabs my arm. He's wearing a yellow t-shirt, he's got jeans on. And he grabs my arm, ain't no badge and then he says, you're under arrest for using obscene language. I said, man, get your fucking hands off of me. I thought the guy was a civilian. I didn't know he was a cop, but he was in civilian. Get your hands off of me. And Huey says, leave him alone, he's done nothing. And another uniformed police squeezed between some people there and grabbed the back of my jacket. And when he did, I spun around in a yellow t-shirt who tried to hit me in the stomach with his head and rolled out and we was tussling on the ground. 3 or 4 more undercovers we found out later jumps on me. They're kicking my ass. I'm telling you, all 3 or 4 of them beat me up. Huey gets into a fight, and they had to tell me about the fight. Huey is fighting a uniform cop. Leave him alone, he's done nothing. And the Huey's cop snatched him up, and Huey jumped back, and then Huey's boxing. Now, Huey cannot dance. You know, you get it out there, do-do-do-do-do, and start that. Huey can't do that. But he had been to the boxing gym, and he could do this here. And Huey actually whooped this cop. He was 160 pounds. This guy was 200 pounds. The cop even tried to grab his gun, and they told me Huey got around and put his hand over his hand to hold the gun in, and just boom, boom, boom. But me, my ass is getting kicked on the ground. But my brother John Seale was there, 2 other white guys, another Asian guys, and some more black guys all came over and kicked these guys off of me and got them off of me. And Yellow T-shirt came at me again, and I pulled his knife out and cut him in the hand. Short story short, we got arrested, went to jail, and I bailed us out, blah, 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 blah.
So, Brother Chairman.
Wait a minute.
I know you stepped away.
Wait, you gotta let me tell this stuff. If you don't let me tell it, I'm gonna lose a train of thought. So I can get over to brothers and sisters, the relevancy of what was happening here, the human involvement, the level of it. You know, this guy's trying to say, anyway, when we went before Judge Stacks in October, we got probation. And I told Huey to meet me at the War on Poverty office tonight. What's the matter? I said, we took notes, but we're gonna finish writing this program. And we wrote that 10-point platform and program that night. The rough draft. We wanted poverty to determine our own destiny, number 1. We wanted decent, full employment for our people. And number 3, we wanted decent housing, fit for shelter of human beings. Another point that we wanted all black men and women to be exempt from any military service. Another point, we want free preventative medical health care. Another point, we want to enter the robbery of our black community, etc. We want all black men and women who brought the trial to be tried by some people who represent the average reasoning person in their own culture, black community, etc. The average reasoning person, and so on. And we summed it up. We wanted land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace in the rough draft. We was back there another night. Huey went upstairs to the law library, and he found the California State Supreme Court ruling. Because remember, he was 2 years in law school by this time. And he found the California State Supreme Court ruling that gave us the right to observe the police officers. So what happens here is that when Huey comes down, I found something else. I found the 2 paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence of the United States of America. And I read that, I said, Huey, if we paraphrase this a bit, what are you talking about? I said, listen to it. I said, it says, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for any one people to dissolve the political bondage which are connected with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station in which the laws of nature's God entitled them, a decent respect to the opinions of humankind, dictates they should declare the causes which impel them to dissolve that political bondage. When a long train of abuses and usurpations pursues and invariably evinces a design to reduce a people under absolute despotism, then it is the right of the people people to alter or change that government and provide new guards with their future security and happiness. A simple piece. That made sense to me. And we put that at the tail end of that 10-point platform and program, revised it some more, had a section for what we want, what we believe, etc. Got Melvin Newton, Huey's older brother, who was already doing graduate work at the University of California at the time, to go over it with us, etc. Went and showed it to Richard Aoki. Richard Aoki thought it was frank, because Richard Aoki was our Japanese buddy. He'd been at Merritt College, and now he was up there at the University of California, whatever, blah, blah, blah. My point is, and we got 2 guns from Richard Aoki, but I had guns at home. I had 30-30 Winchester that my father had bought me when I was 12 years of age, because I was an expert shot when I was 12 years of age. And the sister who wrote it in the book, and Huey Newton taught Bobby Seale everything he ever knew about a gun. She hated me for whatever reason. How in the hell could Huey Newton teach me everything I knew about a gun when I was an expert shot at age 12? Huey was only 6 years old when I was 12. And then when I was in the United States Air Force, and you know, in the United States Air Force in those days, you had a righteous war game and bivouac in those training and some experience. And I was an expert shot with an M1 carbine at 18. Huey was only 12, and I didn't even know who Huey was. So people get dumbass thing and they turn shit around, but my point becomes this here. We decided that we was going to work on point number 7. We want to immediately enter police brutality and murder of black people. But why did we want guns in the first place? Why? Because we looked at all the stuff that had already been happening to civil rights workers and the peaceful protests, etc. And what was that? They were getting shot, killed, murdered, and brutalized all over the country. This is what was happening. Whether you were white, black, or whoever, etc. Boom. In fact, one specific anti-war march, anti-draft, headed to the draft thing, that got stopped right at the Berkeley, Oakland city limit line, right around Stanford and Adeline Street, right at that point, which was 6 blocks from my house. Huey and I was in that march, but we were way back, 5 or 6 blocks. When it got stopped, it stopped so long, we decided to walk up to the front of it. And when we got to the front of it, the police, 200 police would open their ranks, and they let some 50 Hell's Angels riding motorcycles plow into all these peaceful protesters, and then the police come and waded in and beat the hell out of all the peaceful protesters there. That was right before our eyes. So we had decided, yeah, we have this 10-point platform and program, but we're going to take also the position to the right of self-defense, because these son of a guns is killing, murdering, brutalizing peaceful protesters. We were never against, I was never against the right to peaceful protest. I was never against Dr. Martin Luther King's nonviolence program. That wasn't the point. The point of it was, it's just like the Deacons had to take their position down south at one time, just as Robert Williams attempted to take his position in 1959 in Monroe, North Carolina, after the Ku Klux Klan came in marauding, shooting up. I mean, hordes, 10, 20 cars of Ku Klux Klans just shooting in. Why? Because they were downtown in the daytime having a peaceful protest about jobs or something at one of the, what, Cresses or Woolworth or some shit. And the Ku Klux Klan, so at night, they come in and shut it up. So Robert Williams, an ex-Marine, United States Marine, then the head of the local chapter of the NAACP there in North Carolina, boom, decided we have to have some guns to defend ourselves. These guys are coming in shooting up and shooting. Boom. See, the press and the stereotyping that just because we had guns, we didn't like Martin Luther King. That's bullshit. For your information, before Dr. Martin Luther King was killed, who calls me up for Dr. Martin Luther King? None other than Dr. Reverend Ralph Abernathy called me up. And says, Brother Bobby? He says, yes, sir. He says, yes, sir. Chairman Seale. I says, yes, sir. He says, Dr. King asked me to call you. Want to know would you want the Black Panther Party, please, will be joining us with more than 100 different organizational groups across the country. He says, on the one hand, he wants to develop a large round table of organizations so we can sit down and work with and identify all the issues and programs and problems that all of us are working on across the country. And two, with that, continue this board so that we can have a round table and we can hammer out and begin to outline the broader economic rights of civil rights. And Dr. King has asked me to call you, which I said, yes, yes, I would do. The Black Panther, Eldridge Cleaver objected. I said, fuck that, Eldridge. We're going to do it. Y'all have to forgive my cussing sometimes because I get a little emotional with this crap. I'm just saying, we're going to do this. You know what I mean? When I first heard Dr. King speak in '62, now remember, this is '68 before Dr. King, when I first heard him speak, I went to the Oakland Auditorium to hear him speak in 1962. And I'll never forget that. 7,000 seats are in the Oakland Auditorium. 7,000. I'm one of them. I'm a student. You know, I've just been researching my history, etc., but I want to hear this brother. And he got to talking about all these companies all across the country that won't hire people of color, etc., blah, 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 blah. And he got on the bread companies. He says, and we're going to boycott Langendorf bread and Kilpatrick's bread. We're going to boycott Wonder Bread too. And we want to boycott them so consistently and so profoundly. We want to make Wonder Bread wonder where the money went. Well, my God, 7,000 people hit the floor. I was one of them. I was truly inspired by Dr. King, and I understood what he was doing. And the next year, you know who I was listening and paying attention to and protesting for and having a placard in front of the South African consulate against the South African government, free Nelson Mandela in apartheid. I'm just saying, these are the people, the leaders that first inspired me, etc. Then later was Malcolm X, particularly when he left the Nation of Islam and he wanted an organization of Afro-American Union and so on. I'm just saying, the evolvement here of how the Black Panther Party went. In a broad sense, we popped up right in the middle of an already ongoing nationwide protest movement, an anti-war protest movement, a civil human rights protest movement. We popped up right in the middle of it. And we went out to patrol some police. We were a ragtag little organization. We didn't have no whole lot of members. I'm talking about we only had our first 14 members to go out to patrol the police 2 months after we got started. One sister was with us. Everybody finally had a gun. People couldn't sport them leather jackets as we had. So I bought some of them with my paycheck from the city government. I was still working with the city government at the time. Bush jackets. But I want you to iron your pants. What? So we're going to our major patrol next week. It's the second week in January. I'll never forget it. And I want you to take showers and baths. Bobby told me, why we got to go take a bath? We ain't going to do but patrol some old funky police. I says, brother, we patrol the police so we can capture the imagination of the people in the community. I said, we have to be organized. We can't be funky and whatever. I want you to be clean. We got to be clean. I said, we are not blippies. What's a blippy? I said, a black hippie who won't take no goddamn bath. I said, you can't go down in the black community there talking about we gonna organize you and don't be up there smelling. Some of them black folks said, boy, you better go organize some soap under your ass before you come down here trying to organize somebody. And they would tell you that. But anyway, we went down there finally. We had our shit together. We knew every law about the guns. Our guns were loaded, etc. Some people try to say our guns were loaded from Jump Street. We'd never go out there with unloaded guns. But our objective was to patrol the police, capture the imagination of the people, organize them. And they did not all have to carry a gun to be in the Black Panther Party. That was our policy. We understood that. You know, a lot of people said, well, the real thing about the Black Panther Party, we want to get to the programs that we ultimately did get to, but my point is that's where we were. And that night, patrolling those police, that first time we got that real patrol together, we trained all them brothers. You don't point weapons at the rear. In other words, a point of law. Huey was saying, he says, now everyone has to understand that you can't just point a weapon at a person if it's loaded. If you point a loaded weapon at a person, he would say, under California law, remember this guy is in law school, it constitutes assault with a deadly weapon. Even if you have no intention of shooting, if you just wave a weapon around, if it has a live round in the chamber, then I'm telling you, we can't do that. So we don't need unnecessary arrest, so everyone has to pay attention to the training. And we train them about the guns, the safety of the guns, how to break down weapons. Myself, big man Albert Howard, and Richard Ioki, we were the only ones in those first days who had prior military experience. Me, Richard Ioki, etc. So we even trained Huey and everybody about the guns, the weapons, breaking down, cleaning the weapons, etc. and so on. And then Huey taught the law points, etc. and so on. So you have to understand that. So when we did what we did, we parked our cars legally. We got out of the cars. We saw the cop down there, 70, 80 feet down there. And this car was kind of out in the street. He had a young man standing with his hand at the back of the trunk. And the cop had opened up the passenger side of the door, and he was sitting inside the passenger side of the door on his radio writing as his black coming in. There's 10 or 15 people standing here walking. But as we walked up, there came 40, 50 people watching us because we all got guns. The cop has not even looked up to see us yet. And as we walked up, we spread it out. We spread it out here, I'm telling you, at what, 30, 40 feet. And the cop gets out of his, first an old man come out of one of the stores. What they got? It's nighttime. What they got in their hands? Sticks or something. It's them that take the old tall brother. He said, Jimmy, them ain't no damn sticks, them goddamn guns, man, be quiet, shit. And the cop gets out of his car, and Huey turns around, and the old man says, I'm leaving. Huey says, you don't have to leave, everyone stay here. We have a right to stand and observe these officers. We know the law here, so everyone stay. And as he turns around, the cop says, you have no right to observe me. And this is Huey's great moment. No, California State Supreme Court ruling states that every citizen has a right to stand and observe a police officer carrying out their duty as long as they stand a reasonable distance away. A reasonable distance in that particular ruling is constituted 8 to 10 feet. I'm standing approximately 20 feet from you, and we'll observe you whether you like it or not. Some sister on the sidewalk, she kind of tipsy. She said, well, go head on and tell it, brother. The cop says, is that gun loaded? He would say, if I know it's loaded, it's good enough. Well, I have right here to say you have no rights whatsoever. You recited something in the United States Supreme Court, somebody versus so and so. Therefore, you cannot remove my property from me without due process of law. Step back. You cannot touch my weapon. And the tall brother standing there, he said, man, what kind of Negroes is these? It's never been done before in that method. See, what you have to understand, people take the gun, the press, and everybody distort. But understand the very civility of what we are doing. The civility of reciting the law. The civility of not violating the law by not pointing a loaded weapon at a person. The civility of it all. You know, well, is that gun loaded? And Huey says, cock, cock. Like I said, if I know it's loaded, that's good enough. And then the other brothers with long guns, cock, 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 cock. Well, my God, the young brother out here and the black folks on the sidewalk said, oh, shit, we jacking too many rounds in chambers. There was a law. You cannot ride in a car with a live round in the chamber of a rifle or a shotgun. And there was no live rounds in the chamber when we got out, and we did not think when we first got out to put live rounds in the chamber. Clack, 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 blown. The cops took time to look and see. Here was a disciplined group of 14 people. One sister, a female. Big, long, pretty earrings, and this big afro, and her little bush jacket, and a big 44 pistol that Richard Ioki had given her. Strapped to her side. The cop got his arrestee, put him in, shut the door, and as he's walking, he had to stop and make sure there was a woman. Oh my God, he got in his car and he drove off. Little kid come running around the corner with 9 or 10 other little kids. See, I told you. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, my name is Bobby Seale. I'm chairman of the Black Panther Party. This is Huey P. Newton's Minister Defense of the Black Panther Party. Passed out the 10-point platform and program and told her there was a meeting the next day, Saturday, at 2 p.m. at 5624 Grove Street, where our first office was at. That's how we got started.
Great. So, brother, if we could move to question and answer, I know a lot of people have some questions for you. Go ahead.
What did you ask me?
Oh, I don't have any more. You answered all mine, but I'm sure the audience has questions.
Yeah, it's good to ask the question. The question is respectful.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, I'm not exactly sure how much time we have for question and answer. There's a microphone in the center aisle. What I would like is that you form a single line. These were the instructions given to me at this microphone. Maybe we could slide that basket over a little bit. And what I'm going to ask is that you keep your statement/question to 1 minute, because I know how we like to talk. So if we could keep the statement question to 1 minute, and then we'll ask Mr. Seale to respond and try to get through this entire line of people. So, sir, if you could also kind of keep your answers focused so we can get through everybody, I'm sure they'll appreciate that. Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Margie Friedman in the Nutrition Department. I understand the Black Panthers started the school breakfast program in Oakland. So what was your motivation for starting that, which I believe was before the USDA even had the program?
The motivation for that had to do with my need to do more programs. Remember, I was a programmatic organizer before the Black Panther Party started. And I believe that programs have unified people. When we created that North Richmond program in 1964, me and those other 4 people, it unified a lot of people in the community in support of that program because they understood it. Not only was it an educational program, we hired 100 teenage youth. 10th grader can tutor a first grader, 11th grader a second grader, et cetera, right on up to junior college level. You see what I mean? But when we paid them that minimum wage in the poor and low income community, 32 hours a week in the 32 hours a week in the summer and 16 hours a week in the winter. That economics went back into those little households. You see what I'm getting at? Plus it was an educational program. And then what we did, the way we did it, the way I did it and us, is that we put the program together. And we only paid ourselves $350 a month. That's all we paid ourselves. But what we did is we evolved and got 6 other indigenous people to the community, well established in the community, and trained them in a year to 18 months, every one of our job descriptions that ran the program, right on down to writing proposals and or getting people to help them write proposals, how to get matching funds to continue the program, et cetera. And we leave, and we left a little institution in the community, a little economic jobs program institution in the country. So that's me. I'm a programmatic person. So I came up with the Free Breakfast for Children program. Somebody saying something about kids was hungry down south, et cetera, and showing me pictures with bellies, swollen bellies with rickets, what have you, et cetera. And I says, wow. I says, you know what? I can imagine people, when it comes welfare check day and they were, some kids probably ain't even got no breakfast coming up. We're going to start a Free Breakfast for Children program. And the elders Cleveland said, that's a sissy program. I said, fuck you. Excuse me. I said, later for you, Elder. I don't hear that shit from me. Anyway, Elder said, okay, but Chairman, I understand. Blah, blah, blah. I went to see Reverend Earl Neal, and he says, yes, you can have. So the secondary facilities, you know, downstairs, not upstairs where they hotel, you know, it's a big old room there, you know. These guys got an industrial stove back there. I'm talking about an industrial stove with what? 4 burners here, 4 burners here, 2 big old ovens, grill, all this stuff. Then they got coolers and freezers. And I says, we want to have a Free Breakfast for Children program because the school is 1 block. The grammar school is 1 block. He says, yes, Bobby, you have. And we kicked off the Free Breakfast for Children program. Now understand something. When she asked that question about the Free Breakfast for Children program, that program spread like wildfire all across the United States of America. I'm telling you. In the year of 1968, when my party was spreading anyway, and you know, and you have to understand something. What caused my Black Panther Party to suddenly spread across the United States of America from 400 members to 5,000 members? What caused it? The murder and killing of Dr. Martin Luther King. I'm talking about brothers and sisters, young people said, no, we got to go see the Black Panther Party. And they wanted to join the Black Panther Party. And with that, you had to start a breakfast program. You have to start a sickle cell anemia testing program. You have to try to put up free preventative medical health care clinics. In that period, that 1968 period, I went to practically every chapter in the country, every chapter in every branch. We had 49 chapters and branches. People who say, oh, they only had 27 chapters. Bullshit. I'm the one that organized this son of a gun. 49 chapters and branches in 49 cities throughout the United States of America. That's what we had. And the J. Wait a minute, brothers. J. Edgar Hoover and others did not like this. One of the key things that they were out to stop was the free breakfast for children program. Now, in our research for the film, we're doing it. Now, remember, I'm doing a drama. I'm not doing a documentary. We're going to dramatize this stuff. Hope to fly with my film, Seize the Time, 8th of February. I'm getting feedback. What happened, man? All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't worry.
It's still too high. When in the course of human events, can you guys hear me back there? Can you hear me back there? J. Edgar Hoover sent out a memo. We got it. It's all from the Senate investigation here when they subpoenaed the records of the FBI based on the attacks that the FBI was doing against the Black Panther Party. He sent out a memo written by J. Edgar Hoover to all 43 district offices of the FBI in the United States of America, telling them you got to get creative in stopping and halting the spread of this Black Panthers breakfast program. We got to stop the liberals from supporting it. We got to stop any moderate blacks from supporting it, etc. I'm telling you, they came into the breakfast program at St. Augustine's Church that I started after this thing happened, and the cops, 6 of them, came in with shotguns resting on their shoulders and had pistols on their side, walked around the place, and then walked out. The next morning, we had no kids. Why? The kids went home and told their mamas and dads the police came down to the Black Panthers breakfast program. It took me a month to get that program together, going back to the people, et cetera, and getting the church and other people to tell them it's just a program that the FBI is trying to intimidate people not to exist. It was not the fact that we had guns that they attacked us. We never did have the firepower to even deal with that. That wasn't the objective. My position and the party's position, and one I held to, is just the right to self-defense when and if attacked. That's all that was about. These guys realized, who was it? What president of the United States of America ordered the destruction of the Black Panther Party? Richard M. Nixon. Richard M. Nixon. John Mitchell, United States Attorney General. United States Attorney General, when Richard M. Nixon took office and got sworn in, one of the first things he did is get on national television and says, by the end of this year of 1969, we will be rid of the Black Panther Party. Me and Stephen Edwards, my producer, director that's working with me, he's in the audience here, we researched this stuff, and we got some old Watergate tapes, right when, after Nixon got his, got into office, in the voice of Richard Nixon, talking to the voice of J. Edgar Hoover, old Watergate tapes. Remember, Richard Nixon used to do it. And Richard Nixon says, J. Edgar, did you get the information about dealing with these Black Panthers here? He says, well, I haven't got it. He says, well, John Mitchell will be contacting you, and we got to get rid of these Panthers. This is the first part of this man's position before anybody's killed that year. Before John Huggins and Bunchy Carter are killed at January 17th. This is what these guys are doing. And they already stated that they're going to get rid of us by the end of the year. We ain't been charged with nothing yet.
We got a long line, so and about 15 minutes. So if we could, even if you keep talking, they can ask the question. We'll get
Next question, go ahead. Because I ain't going to be able to answer all of them. Go ahead.
Right. Might have been answered.
Chairman Seale, thank you very again for coming and speaking to us. My name is Rahman Jamal, and one of the organizations that is kind of similar for the next generation's Hip Hop Congress, it kind of had very similar roots, but for our generation, hip hop generation. But my question is going into organizing the Black Panther Party and not being able to foresee how the United States government would respond to that, in hindsight, for our generation that is attempting to do the same thing and organize our communities, what might you do differently, or what could you give us insight on how the infiltration or how the government responded to disorganize the Black Panther Party? Could you give us some insight on things that we could be aware of in terms of the strategy that was used?
Most of what the government ultimately did is attack us. They had used provocateur agents in our organization even to kill people, and then blame it on party members, what have you, etc. That's what they did. And you're saying, well, whether or not we had foresight, etc., it began to happen. Fools going out and robbing a service station for $40 in the morning. You know what I mean? I'm bringing in $10,000, $20,000 a damn month just in speaking fees to the party. What do I need somebody to run? And then our newspaper truck is on front pages of newspapers all over San Francisco and Barrett. Black Panthers robbed service station for $42. This is a provocateur agent doing something that's not us. And so that happened, and you dealt with it. We had a Black Panther Party newspaper, and we moved that paper in the San Francisco Bay Area alone to 100,000 circulation. And as it grew over 400,000 across the nation as the organization spread it around the country. I'm saying we dealt with it. We had the best legal defense in the country. We had a network of lawyers from one end of this country to the other. I'm telling you, and we went to trials and we went to court. Do you know that we won the Black Panther parties over those years? We won 95% of all our courtroom cases in the United States of America. Do you know that? Because we had one of the best legal teams in this country. I mean, that's important to understand. So you ask how to deal with it, it comes down to people charging people with crimes, trying to put them in jail, and some get murdered, and you have to have your defenses up, even your legal defense, etc. Yes.
All right.
Just so folks know, I know we got a long line there, but we've just been informed we don't have enough time for all those questions. So we're actually going to take 2 more questions, and then we're going to be out of time. So just your next 2 people.
Okay.
Sorry. Maybe the chairman will be sitting at the table for a minute. You can talk to him there.
All right, really quickly before I get into my question, you are a real living legend. It's truly an honor for me to be here today, to see you and listen to you. So thank you again for being here. Now with my question, since the time that the Panthers first started, from the time you guys had that first meeting, what do you feel, number one, has been the biggest improvement that's been made since then? And also, what do you feel is the biggest thing that we still need to work on?
The same thing that was the biggest improvement. When the Black Panther Party started, when SNCC started, when the Civil Rights Movement started and was high profile in the middle of the 1960s, there were less than 50 African Americans elected to political office in the United States of America. Less than 50. Listen to me, brothers and sisters. By the end of the 1970s, there were 7,000 black people being elected to political office, plus women beginning to be elected to political office because they had been ostracized too, et cetera, across the board, et cetera. You know what I mean? Now you can talk 10, 12, 14,000 or more people of color and others being elected to political office throughout the United States of America. Problem is, right now, for example, in the United States House of Representatives, there are only about 100 representatives who will vote for progressive things. Only about 100, all right? Small level voting, to high-level voting. Probably Congresswoman Barbara Lee, along with Maxine Waters and some others, are the most top progressive type political representatives in the House of Representatives right now. There's a lot more of them there, too. What we need is a broader movement that involves not only putting up programs in the community, programs and uniting a lot of nonprofit entities, et cetera, like Martin Luther King wanted to do, and I think some of that's going on anyway. But those House of Representatives, we need those votes. When Barbara Lee, back when the Afghan war started, refused to vote, she was the only one. And who is Barbara Lee? Barbara Lee is a former Black Panther Party member worker. Most people don't know that. Bobby Rush come from the Illinois State Chapter of the Black Panther Party. He's the United States Congress on the ground. But there are others all in there. And we got to get more of them. Some of you has got to get some real grounded level political revolutionary sense in your heart, mind, and soul, where the real rights, Constitution, democratic, civil, human rights, and legislation for the people. You got to do this. The thing is clear. It's clear. You see what the damn Republicans are doing. You see them having gerrymandered a lot of seats on the state level, et cetera, and they came, and you see what the Koch brothers is doing. The Koch brothers and their billionaire club, et cetera, and the Koch brothers, they financed Scott Walker into Wisconsin for at the tune of $43 million, the way I followed the paper trail and found it out. And this dude, as fast as he gets in, is going to take away the bargaining power rights of the workers, and did do it. I mean, this is not no joke. A lot of people, oh, that ain't no way. That is the issue. It is the problem. I mean, when we talk about economically, ecologically too, politically and social justice-wise, this is what's got to happen. We got to do this. You know what I mean? Me, I'm going to do this film. Yeah, I'm going to do this film. And I'm hoping to make $1, $2, or $3 million out of it. If I don't, whatever, I'm going to take 1/4 of my money and I'm going to use it to set up yet another one of my great programs. And I call it the Environmental Renovation Youth Jobs Project. That's what I call it. It's about creating jobs as it's related to the environment, the ecology, et cetera, and so on. I was advocating this in 1988, that we should be able to create, and I believe we could create, 10 million jobs in this country as it's related to evolving and trying to make sure we have a balanced ecology, et cetera. We could do that. See, these kind of things can happen. You know, I'm not against you making money. I'm against you not letting you take me and survive, and you got to do that. You know, and if some of you make some millions, hey, put something into something relevant and grassroots and very progressive in the community. And then no terrorists. We don't like terrorists. I don't like them. I ain't never going to support no goddamn terrorists. I'm telling you, listen to me, brothers, very clearly. They run around here and try to say, I am a terrorist. Oh, yes. They say Bobby Seale and the Black Panthers and the rest of them, we're there on a terrorist watch. No shit. Let me tell you something. Nobody who runs around blowing up people, and I don't give a damn what color they are, whether it's Timothy McVeigh, who blew up the Oklahoma building back here, whether it's the Ku Klux Klan, who indiscriminately killed and murdered thousands and thousands of black folks following the Civil War up to this day. I'm just trying to tell you, these people are not liberators of anybody. These people are indiscriminate killers and murderers, and I don't give a damn what goddamn color they are. This is what we are. We don't support none of that shit. So, when the Occupy movement in Oakland came and the little so-called anarchists gonna start busting up windows and that, ain't got time for that. You know, I'm on record. All that work I did in North Richmond, California, when Dr. King was killed, everybody was rioting across the country. They didn't start in Oakland, but they started out in Richmond. And I went out to Richmond out there, me and the Black Panthers, And I stopped the riot. I stopped the goddamn riot. We stopped the riot. I didn't believe in spontaneous riots. I know why they happened, but I didn't believe. I believe in organizing the people, unifying the people around real programs, taking their votes and getting their votes together and voting in policies and legislation that make human sense. That's what I believe in. Now, in the process of doing that, these people, the Koch brothers, are behind the scene and they got money, etc. They will have infiltrators. They will have their own counterintelligence program. Outside of the government, these Koch brothers and people do this crap. And they will send anarchists in to disrupt or distort what the damn program or the protest is about. So that's what you got to understand, a real progressive movement, unifying people in opposition to the hardcore fascist and racist right wing in this country. This is what we got. The lines are drawn. It's very clear. No, we could argue all this stuff, whether or not the health program, but the health program should have listed a long goddamn time ago. The Obamacare, affordable health program, etc. These things are important to understand. We live in an overdeveloped, high-tech, fast-paced, computerized, scientific, technological, social order. We're not living in the 60s.
We need to take our last question.
Where we live, let me finish, brother. Where we live today, it is about us moving to a greater cooperational humanism on the face of this earth. You got to understand that, and you got to work on that. You got to involve yourself with every kind of relevant, progressive program that you can put together.
Thank you, Chairman Seale, for coming. Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing your passion and your wisdom with us. We need to know what you know, and we're loving it. My question is this. You're on a campus where you've just told us that you were inspired learning about the various contributions that people of African descent had made to human society, and it excited you. This is a campus where we have a Department of African American Studies, and we have some African Americans and many progressive people on this campus sharing some of the wisdom of people trying to be more humane towards each other and towards the earth. What do you think is the role today in the 21st century? Is it time to just close up shop and go? Do people know enough about people, real people's history, working people's history, struggling people's history? Is it time to close up shops and go? Because many people feel that's of the 60s. It's a new time. People aren't interested in African American history or culture. We're all blended people, and we're the rainbow, and we really need jobs, and jobs are not in knowing who you are. Could you just respond to that, please?
I support, listen, brother. I support President Obama's program of redoing the infrastructure. If the idiot right-wing racist ass Republicans would pass the damn bill and they're holding it up, we would create 1.3 million jobs right across this country. 1.3 million, the ricochet relationship of 1.3 million jobs in that framework. Everything that Obama wants to do, we could have had this unemployment down. Simultaneously, while that unemployment is trying to get down, all our ethnic studies programs, whether it's the African American studies, whether it's Native American studies, women's studies, what have you, et cetera, blah, 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 that's got to be continued, because it teaches people to continue to know and understand people. You know, my Aunt Zelma, my mother's identical twin, her name was Thelma, and her sister was Zelma. She came to live with us. I was about turning 11, 12, and so I'm in the back room in the government projects where we lived, and 2 or 3 other kids is there, and her son is there, and me, I'm arguing with the other kids. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. It's 25,000 miles all the way around the earth, and then the earth spin on its own axis at 1,000 miles an hour, and then, well, my Aunt Zelma, fanatical Christian, comes in the door. shut up that old science mess, and grabs my ear, mauls my head. Boy, you going straight to hell. You're gonna burn in hell till you that science mess. We're talking about the earth is round. Ain't you got no better sense than that, boy? And boy, you went, it's my Zelma. The woman don't know no better. It was 6 months later, everybody was over on the San Francisco beach. Used to have a playland out there. The families, etc., and she came there with her boyfriend and his car, etc. And I'm over here where all the carnival crap is going on. And Aunt Zelma walked all the way over there and grabbed my arm, come here, Bobby, and grabbed me by the arm and got me all the way out there. Now look out there. She made me look out at the ocean. What you see, boy? And you know, I'm scared of Aunt Zelma. I think I said, the ocean, Aunt Zelma. All you see, boy, is flat, 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 flat. You run around here talking about the earth, boy, you going to hell. You hear me? You hear me? Now, I didn't believe Aunt Zelma, but my point is, I just say stay away from her, because I done read my little science, and I know it, and I know when the earth spins, that the sun set and all that. Stay away from Aunt Zelma. I said that to say this. It's about trying to make sure that our ideas, our beliefs and notions, as much as possible, correspond correctly to reality. That's what you boil it down to. Look at this thing. And baby, I love science. You couldn't come into my Black Panther Party and my political education program and go, all white folks is devils. I said, that's totally unscientific, brother. You can take that analogy somewhere. Go somewhere else. I don't want to hear it. I took every anthropology course, all 5 anthropology courses at Merritt College. I loved anthropology, and I'm just trying to say, I love mathematics, you know what I mean? I taught dialectics. You know, party members come out and say, today we're going to get that. Now, Huey, my friend, he just didn't have that skill. He understood it, but Huey needed to be precise, and Huey used to try to say, brothers and sisters, if we could first agree on the dialectical principle that quantitative increase or quantitative decrease causes a qualitative leap or change, I think then we can move forward and understand flux. And I'm saying, damn, Huey. Even the college students in there, he lost them. I said, Huey, this ain't yours. I taught them party members. I say, today we're going to get down to the nitty gritty and we ain't going to miss no nits or grits.
We got 1 minute.
I write it on the blackboard. Quantitative increase or quantitative decrease causes a qualitative leap or change. Even sometimes I do it just like a preacher do it. Y'all hear me? I say it causes a qualitative leap or change. What's the difference between quality and quantity? You know what I mean? But anyway, my point is, another time I just bought me 5-gallon cans that I'd grown some carrots in with soil in it. And here you buried the goddamn carrot seed 1 3/4 inches. Here you decrease that damn the depth of that seed to 1 inch. And here 3/4, set it down the ground. And so when the carrots grow, what you got? Over here, the quality carrot is here. Over here, without the amount of water, without the veniseed, without the proper depth, you have a shriveled up carrot. So you have to make part of them seed to grab it almost. So, but they understood it to a point that even some illiterate brothers on the street explaining to brothers and sisters, you got to understand the increased amount of times you read the Black Panther Party newspaper and the increased amount of time me and you discuss it, you decrease in the apathy and increase in the consciousness. Now, if we increase the consciousness, then we begin to understand. This is a brother that's half illiterate, understanding and getting him to see the application of his political party work in the community. That's the way I did things. Power to the people. Thank you very much. I have books and stuff in the back. I want to sell them all to you. It helps support my film and get that stuff going. And I got to go back here to autograph in the back. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Chairman Bobby Seale, thank you so much. All right, thank you. Go out and make change. Do God's work.